What is up, guys? RSC6414 here, back with another video. This time I'm back with a sports video. As you remember last week, I think it was last Wednesday, I made my first sports video on this channel. Been watching sports a while, so I thought why not make some sports videos besides wrestling. Did my week 5 picks. I'm continuing my NFL picks, and I'm a little late this week considering the Thursday night game is tonight. But I'm going to go and do my NFL Week 6 pick. So here you go. The first game we have is the New York Giants at the Chicago Bears. The Giants, the most surprisingly disappointing team probably besides the Falcons of this year. The Giants are 0-5. Bears are 3-2. Even though it's at Chicago at Soldier Field, I'm sort of tempted to pick New York, but I'm not. I'm going with the Bears, Chicago Bears to pick up the victory. And probably I think it'll be closer than what people may think. Giants have lots of talent, and I'm sort of surprised they're 0-5. But I think I've got to go with the Bears here as much as I'm tempted to pick New York. So my pick, the Chicago Bears. That's tonight at 8:20, by the way. Then we've got Green Bay and Baltimore. Green Bay at Baltimore. One of the hardest picks for me to pick this week, by far, Week 6, with the exception of the Patriots Saints that I'll pick later on and in this video. The Ravens picked up the win last week in Miami, 26-23, but the Packers beat the Lions 22-9. The Packers, Baltimore's record's 3-2, and the Packers' record is 2-2. So the Super Bowl champs haven't gotten off to the greatest start, but neither have the Packers. So even though it's at Baltimore, there's something about this week that I've got a gut feeling. My pick, the Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to pick up the W here in Baltimore. I could easily see Baltimore win, don't get me wrong. My gut's telling me Green Bay, so I'm going with the Green Bay Packers to pick up the victory. Should be a good game, probably one of the better ones of the week. So yeah, it's Sunday at 1 o'clock, by the way. Then we've got another 1 o'clock game on Sunday, Cincinnati and Buffalo. Earlier this week, Buffalo and Doug Marrone, Buffalo's coach, announced that Thaddeus Lewis, most of you guys probably don't know him, but he played at Duke, started for good 2 or 3 years, pretty good quarterback. He played for the Browns last year, played for the Rams, and now he's on the Bills. He was on the practice squad for a little bit, but now he's on the roster, I'm guessing, because they're starting him, so obviously he is. So yeah, Thaddeus Lewis getting the start, fellow Blue Devil, against the Bengals. I don't see the Buffalo Bills upsetting them here, even though it's at home. The Bengals beat the Patriots last week, and 3-2 Bengals versus the 2-3 Buffalo Bills. Bills lost last Thursday to the Browns, and probably the best Thursday game as far as the closeness of it I've seen probably all year. So my pick here, though, to win Cincinnati. I don't see Buffalo winning with Thaddeus Lewis. I could see it being closer than what people may be thinking, but I think the Bengals are going to ride the momentum from their victory of Patriots last week. So my pick, Cincinnati Bengals. Another 1 o'clock game, the Detroit Lions at Cleveland Browns. One of my teams, the Cleveland Browns. I really want to pick the Browns, but even though Brandon Weeden picked up the win last week against when he came in for the injured Brian Hoyer, who's out for the season with the ACL, just our luck. Detroit's had a pretty good year. Probably one of the more surprising ones than you'd expect. I know they had lots of talent, but last year they didn't do so great. They were 3-1 going into the game. They lost to Green Bay last week to go to 3-2. And the Cleveland Browns are 3-2, tied for first in the AFC North. And so it'll be pretty interesting to see what's going to happen here. Even though it's at Cleveland, for some reason I'm going against my Browns. I'm picking the Detroit Lions. I think they're going to win Even though Brandon Whedon's thumb's been bothering him all year, I don't think he's the guy for the Browns in the long term. I think I liked Hoyer a lot, and I thought maybe he could be the guy. But now that he's out for the season, I could see us winning the Browns, but I'm picking against them this week. So my pick, unfortunately, the Detroit Lions. No problem with the Lions. Just I don't like picking against my teams, but not biased. So Detroit. Next game, another 1 o'clock game Sunday, St. Louis at Houston. Schaub's had lots of difficulties. Fans coming to his house, cussing him out, and then taking pictures of his family. And he's contacted the NFL security, so it's getting pretty rough for Matt Schaub, and I think he'll be out of Houston sooner than later. But I think even regardless, I don't see St. Louis beating Houston in Houston. I see Houston picking up the victory here, even after their tough blowout loss to San Fran last week on Sunday Night Football. I'm picking the Houston Texans to pick up the victory and move to 3-3, 500 on the season. The Rams are the Rams. They haven't done too great either. They're 2-3. So my pick though, Houston Texans. And we've got another 1 o'clock game, Oakland and Kansas City. Oakland coming off their victory over the Chargers. The odd 11:35 game on NFL Network. Beat the Chargers, and in Kansas City, everybody knows they're undefeated under a new coach this year. First year coach for the Chiefs. Obviously, he coached the Eagles for a long time, but now he's the Chiefs. So 5-0 Chiefs going up against the 2-3 Raiders. Even though I don't see the Raiders winning here. It's at Kansas City, and even though they did beat the Chargers, I don't see them beating the Chiefs. Undefeated Chiefs. I don't see the Raiders giving them their first loss. I think Jamal Charles will be too much for them, and I don't see my pick, Kansas City Chiefs, to pick up the victory here. We've got our next game, Carolina Panthers at the Minnesota Vikings, Sunday 1 o'clock. Carolina is not done very good this year. Sort of disappointing. They've been disappointing a lot. 2008 when they made the playoffs. They're 1-3. They've had some rough games against the Cardinals last week where they lost. The Vikings done all right. Matt Castle recently acquired Josh Freeman, the free agent, over this past week, and that was earlier this week. That was pretty interesting. So I'm assuming Matt Castle will start here because even though they just acquired Freeman, it'll take him a while to learn their system. So I'm still picking the Vikings at home with Adrian Peterson, etc., etc. So my pick to pick up the victory here, Minnesota Vikings to beat the Carolina Panthers. Then we've got our next game, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Jets. The New York Jets picked up a surprising Monday night victory over the Falcons in Atlanta, 30-28. Good game there. Pittsburgh still 0-4. They had a bye last week. I'm picking the Steelers to pick up their first win here. I don't see them going 0-5. They got some talent too, sort of like the Giants, another surprising winless team. But my pick here, I could easily see the Jets winning. Don't get me wrong; they've surprised me and done pretty well this year. But my pick, Pittsburgh Steelers. And we've got our next game, another 1 o'clock game, Philly at Tampa. I see Philadelphia winning here over Tampa with Mike Glennon as Tampa's quarterback. I see Michael Vick carrying them from momentum over their victory on Sunday over the Giants. I see him winning again in Tampa. And I see Philadelphia improving to 3-3. They're tied for first currently with the Dallas Cowboys. So the NFC East hadn't done so great this year so far. But my pick, Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Tampa Bay Bucks. We've got our next game, 4 o'clock, by far the best game of the week. This game is going to be awesome. Jacksonville and Denver. I'm just kidding. Jacksonville. I'm sorry, Jacksonville fans. If you're watching this, I don't mean to be dissing your team, but this literally is like the worst team in the NFL versus the best team in the NFL so far. I think this game will be closer than people think. People probably imagining this to be like a 35-point blowout, the way Denver's been playing. It's at Denver, by the way, so Jacksonville's got everything against them. So my pick here has got to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm just kidding. I had to do it. My pick's actually, seriously, in all seriousness, the Denver Broncos. I see them rolling over the Jaguars, probably by like 21 points, maybe 17. So apologize to the Jaguars fans for the sarcastic jokes, but being the Dolphins fan, kind of got to take those low blows. Apologize. So yeah, my pick, Denver. Don't take it personally, Jacksonville. Just a little joke. The next game, Tennessee at Seattle, 4 o'clock game, another 4 o'clock game. Tennessee, Ryan Fitzpatrick, they lost last week to the Chiefs, gave them a good run. They lost 26-17. Seattle lost their first game of the year to the Colts, 34-28. I see Seattle winning here, especially at home. So my pick here, Seattle to knock off Tennessee. I see this game being pretty close, but with the Seattle and their home field advantage, they've definitely got the upper hand here. And Jake Locker being out still for the Titans, I see Seattle winning here. My pick, Seattle. This is the hardest game for me to pick. New Orleans and New England. One of my teams is the Saints as well. Browns, Dolphins, Saints are my 3 teams. Those are the only teams I really like. The Saints, I really want to pick them. I've been a Saints fan since 2004 when they had Aaron Brooks and Deuce McAllister and Joe Horn. So they've definitely improved since then, to say the least. But at New England hasn't been as impressive as you might think the record shows. They've barely squeaked out a couple wins over teams like the Jets. They've barely beaten, they lost to Cincinnati. They held on against Atlanta, which is an impressive win. But seeing that the Jets just beat Atlanta, it's not as impressive anymore. Nothing against the Jets. They're doing pretty good, but people didn't see the Jets being this good this year. But my pick here, I'm a little biased. I'm going with it. I don't care. My pick, New Orleans to pick up the win. They beat Chicago at Chicago last week, 26-18. I think they're going to remain undefeated here, and the Patriots are going to move to their second loss of the season, move to 4-2, and I see the Saints moving up, improving to remain one of the only remaining undefeated teams, moving to 6-0. My pick here, New Orleans, Who Dat Nation, Saints. That's my pick, New Orleans. Next game, Arizona at San Francisco, another 4:25 game. Arizona's gotten some wins, picked up some over Tampa 2 weeks ago. They came back, and then over Carolina, they've been winning ugly, but hey, they've been winning. Their defense is good, and their offense is their offense. But the Cardinals have hung in there. They're 3-2, solid record. Same with the Niners. So Cardinals have had a pretty good year, but they have beaten the Bucs, the Panthers, not so stellar teams. But I see San Francisco winning here at home. I could see Arizona pulling off the upset. I've done it before, but I see San Francisco winning this rivalry game. And yeah, my pick, 49ers are going to ride. Colin Kaepernick are going to put the Niners on his shoulders and take them to victory, move to 4-2. So my pick, San Francisco Niners to beat the Cardinals. We have our Sunday night game, Washington and Dallas, rivalry game, Sunday at 8:30. Dallas Cowboys 2-3, Washington Redskins 1-3. RG3 hasn't had so hot of a year so far. Ever since that injury, he hasn't been the same. My pick here at Dallas, I'm going with Dallas. I could see much to my dismay, considering I don't like the Cowboys. I could see Washington win here, but I think Dallas is going to pick up the victory this week and move to 3-3 after their tough loss against Denver last week, 51-48. But my pick here, the Dallas Cowboys to knock off the Washington Redskins to improve to 3-3, and the Redskins will drop to 1-4. But don't get me wrong, I could see the Redskins winning. And then our final game of Week 6, Indianapolis at San Diego. I could see San Diego's 2-3 so far this year after their loss to Oakland, which sort of surprised to some people. And then Indianapolis is 4-1, so they've had a solid year. I see Indianapolis winning here, even though it's at San Diego. I could see San Diego winning, but I see the Colts keeping the momentum going after their win against the Seahawks last week. So I see the Colts winning, beating the Chargers in a closer game than people may think. I think it'll be a pretty good one. So my pick here, Indianapolis Colts. Quick teams that have two teams that have the bye week this week for Week 6, Falcons and Dolphins. My Dolphins have the week off, so hopefully they can get the win next week. 3-2 right now, and the Falcons need the week off because they are struggling right now. So yeah, Falcons Dolphins week off. Hope you enjoyed my Week 6 picks. Those are my predictions. Check out my other videos and subscribe. Thanks everybody.